Welcome back, everybody. Today we have an interesting community to talk about. It's employment, and I really do like talking about employment because employment leads to other things. It leads to a social life, it leads to money, you can live somewhere. So employment is really super important. But this is a different take on employment. We're going to talk about when people rise up to the executive or management level and they're masking neurodivergent traits that have they've been able to deal with to get to the level they're working at, but there's a personal consequence to this. And so I want to explore this option. And then we have John, who's going to talk about what it's like as a neurodivergent person, possibly working with a neurodivergent employer who gives these signs that Michelle is going to talk about. What do you do when you find yourself in an employment position? Being patient is always a good thing. So, anyway, Michelle Raz of Raz Coaching Services, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
Now, this is going to be an excellent conversation. So, let's just start with Michelle. What is masking?
Okay. Right. So masking is really about suppressing or camouflaging your natural talents or behaviors in order to conform in the workplace to what we say are neurotypical norms. Usually it's done to avoid, a stigma of what the diagnosis is, to keep your job, but it comes at a high cost. I
And
like to say this, and this is where I want to start, is that, being neurodivergent, which is generally, you're diverging from the normal, typical, and we think of autism, ADHD, anxiety.
Down syndrome. I mean, there are things that are
Yeah.
obvious. Yes.
Yes. But my stance is this, and especially when you're working in the professional field, and people are masking because our perception of what that means is so different than the potential in that person because of years of societal conditioning. But what I'm saying, and I'm here to say, and I've got proof in it, and I've seen it, and we're seeing it in the world too, with amazing people that are come forward with their abilities despite their disabilities. And so what I'm here to preach and really support, and be the solution to, is that neurodivergence, these issues, these challenges, is really not a problem to hide. It's a strength that can be integrated and used to fuel productivity, you know, um, productivity and income. But the truth is, people mask.
Okay, so
And
I want to get back to
yeah.
basics here because we're going farther down the line and
Right.
we'll get
Sorry.
there. No worries. Let's start with there are a lot of adults who are undiagnosed. You can't see it in their faces, but you can see it in the behavior. And I learned this just from doing the show. There are a lot of people that have ADHD, that have uh, autistic signs, but you can't really see it in their faces in the way they talk, but you can see it in behavior. And what I learned from talking to a ton of people, and John, this is really important too for you. What
Mhm.
I've learned from talking to a ton of people to do this show is that the people I'm interviewing who are experts have also had late diagnoses of autism on the spectrum, ADHD, ADD, and it's refreshing, literally refreshing when you're diagnosed because you wonder, wait a minute, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get this done on time? Why am I overwhelmed with the organizational difficulties of doing this job? And possibly it's because you haven't been diagnosed. Do you agree or disagree, Michelle?
I'm just laughing because this is in my own life with my own family members, how I got into this whole aspect. It was in 2008. And I'm sitting there with my child, and they're telling me this diagnosis, and you have to go in and do an interview, and all of a sudden you start connecting the dots and you go, oh my gosh, I see the pattern throughout the entire family. And this is so many the stories that come to me late in life and say, well, my child was diagnosed and I started to see the tendencies and I understood it. I started researching for them, and all of a sudden it all clicked for me. And so I was, 42 when I got diagnosed because of my daughter or my son or husband. And you get this awareness that comes with it. And it's illuminating in your own life if you want to make a difference and change. Because I always say, knowledge is powerful. So then you can actually do something about it. But yes, absolutely what you're saying, I agree on.
Right. And you want to stop beating yourself up. Like, what's wrong with me? Am I
Right.
crazy? Why can't I do this? This should be so easy for me. So,
Yeah.
what are one of the issues that would be something that would be problematic for a manager or an executive that would indicate they're masking?
Mm-hmm.
Is it organizational skills? It's being able to deal under pressure with time. We talked about organizational skills, Michelle. Let's deal with that then.
Well, the biggest part is, yeah. So if you are seeing this in the workforce and it's coming from above, it often come from above or below, but it's really organizationally, if there is an awareness about this and seeing and understanding the issue of masking and what the implications are for the company. I think that's really important. And that to start with is to understand the patterns of what does that look like? What does it mean? And taking notes and journaling and seeing if you can see something. You're talking about the perspective of somebody that is trying to have a business relationship, right, with somebody, but you're
Well,
noticing.
that's going to come later. I want to know right now. This is just, defining things. So, what is masking? Masking is covering up.
Mhm.
Masking is doing something so that somebody doesn't realize you have a problem, a challenge. So, what are those problems and challenges? And you mentioned when we were doing the pre-interview that they're within executive function skills. So,
Yeah.
what lives inside of what are executive function
So let's go,
skills?
yeah, and I eat and breathe and live this on a regular basis. And so you coming in, okay, we have the executive functioning skills, like you said, organization. Are they coming in and everything's scattered? Do they seem to not know where things are because of that organization? And a telltale sign is going into somebody's office and they've got the piles everywhere, but they know where something is, and they might have compensation, that's a whole nother aspect of it, is that they probably do know where the things is, but they're not organized, and it takes time, and it takes time in to get up to speed on things. And so it affects a team situation because you're waiting on that person. That's like a classic sign, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
their time management. You
Yes.
have a deadline and your team has it laid out what's supposed to be done. And this is, you're hitting these benchmarks along the way, except for that one person. They're not there, and they might come in clutch, but then again, there's consequences on that because maybe the project is bigger than they thought, or they go down a rabbit hole and they find something illuminating for the whole group that's really important, but it distracts from that timeline. Or they completely miss it because they become hyper focused on something else. But
Yeah.
the difference is that the ability is there. It's really important that a lot of times people will come to me because of the shame. And you talk about, well, they're late, like diagnosed, and they're like, aha, now I'm all better. But they've had a whole lifetime, if it's 40 or 50 years, of being the way they function with the lack of organization, with that time management. And there's a lot of humiliation and shame that comes with that, and you tried the masking piece of
Right.
it, but the consequences of that particular behavior is really can throw the team off the rails of what that deadline is. And then the whole group could look bad if you're in a group situation and you're feeling like you're the person knowing that you've held it up. But here's the thing, they're brilliant. They know how to do it. And when they come through, and you want that piece. And so people tolerate it. They try, to understand it, but anyway, I could go on with each one and all the different implications, but generally the organization, time management, and then I'm going to just touch on emotional regulation. And usually sometimes I start with that one. The ones that come in and you have a large project. Everyone's stressed. There's a large project done, but they don't have the organization or the time management to be able to compartmentalize it and break it down in the small chunks. They become frustrated. It might be compounded because they've been masking for so long that they've got
Mhm.
it under control, and you might see an outburst. They're frustrated,
Yes.
and they might be affect their relationships with their team members, or if they're a boss, somebody below them, and then people are put on edge, and you're walking into a room on eggshells because their regulation is off. But you notice that they'll work through it. If you give them space, something happens, they work through it, and their regulation comes down. And so you get this personality of it's kind of like this. And if you can see the cycle of it, and I always say journaling is so important because you can see these patterns of when the dysregulation comes in, or something at home has happened, and
Right.
that can throw them off. So they need coping skills, right? And we all need
Right.
those coping skills, but somebody with like I'm thinking attention deficit, is a big one, and they are at that threshold, or they've been masking so long, but this project that doesn't fit with the way their brain thinks, they might be visual and they've got all this wall of text to deal with.
Mm.
They're trying to figure it out. They don't have the reservoir is not full to be able to utilize those coping skills that they have. So
Right.
it's so important to understand, where they're coming from and what the particular executive functioning issue is for them. Some people don't have emotional regulations issues at all. They might just shut down, and you get nothing out of them. So it's something to unravel, and it's not a big mystery once you understand the different executive
Right.
functions and what happens when that person can't meet the expectations of what it
Right.
is. And again, this goes back to the masking piece of it.
Right.
um,
Okay. I want to break from that a second because we're going to go into remedies in a minute, but I want to go to John.
yeah,
So, John, you've had you've had jobs. I mean, you've had jobs. You
Yeah.
had one job for 15 years, which is
Mhm.
huge. And everybody liked you on the job. I don't want to say the name of the employer because I don't want to do,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
want to use that as an example just to see, just to get your response with maybe this was going on with this one particular person. So at that job,
Yes.
you had a difficult time working with one of the managers.
Yes, I did.
What was that difficulty? What did you find hard to deal with?
Her, I'm just going to say her ability to be a manager and help the other employees out. She would sit in a chair in her office the whole time I would be working. It would drive me nuts.
What did you want her to do? What did the employees
Um,
expect her to do or need her to do?
well, when a real manager is supposed to come out and help bag, and help bring the groceries, help with like if we're crowded and stuff like that. That's their job to help the employees out. And when I see something that I don't care for, then I just get real agitated with that person because I think when you're a manager, you're supposed to help other people and not just sit in an office all the time. That was my issue with that.
John, there was more than one manager at that
Yeah,
company?
yeah,
Did you find the other managers were a little different?
yeah,
You
yeah.
found that
There
they
was
were a little
this,
different?
yeah, there's this one guy named Andy. Oh, I shouldn't have said that, but there's a guy named Andy, and he would come out, he would bag, he would make the customers laugh. He would always like, do what he's supposed to do because that's part of their job is to help, you know, at
Okay.
that particular place.
All right. So was this one woman a little bit unusual, a little different than the other managers?
No.
No, you just said she was. You're supposed to
Yeah,
say
yeah.
yes. The answer is
Yes.
yes, John.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes,
It's okay.
I'm a little tired. So.
Don't worry. We can have fun too.
Yeah, we can.
Um, so it does sound like there was a difference. You actually saw a difference between one manager versus another manager.
Yeah.
Okay, so cool. Let's go back to Michelle on this one.
Mhm.
Can we just, as a test case and discussion here, do you think maybe this one manager had some things she was masking and dealing with? Maybe.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions. And so we're
Go
not
ahead.
really knowing, is it the lack of training? Is it,
Mm,
um, you know, her expectations of her role? It was different than somebody else's. Was she lazy? Did she care about her job? There's so many other things going on, but my biggest thing that comes to me is training. Okay. And what I heard John say is that the other managers came in to create an environment that was conducive to everybody being in a team and working in a team environment to where it didn't affect the workflow, but actually helped it. And to me, that goes into management training and expectations and accountability. And I don't know the situation, I don't know anything, but I also would ask John too, like how flexible is his thinking in an environment like that? I heard he has an expectation of the management, and it may be written down. This is the protocol. And so I would wonder, like, what actions could John take himself to be able to either align the environment to what he needs by advocating to the management, this is what I need in a scenario like this, and without even calling in the other boss or who manager that was doing it right, but just not call that out, but just say, in order for me to do my work well in my workspace and to have regulation of my emotions, and probably when we know we're emotionally sound, our performance under that is so much smoother and quicker. And in order for us as a team, you could be a leader in that spot and say, I need to feel supported in these ways. When the bagging is this, I need to have somebody here to support me. When we have stress, it's nice to have somebody alongside you that can give you encouragement as a team, and then everything flows better. So as much as you would like to point the finger and say it's her management style because she's suffered, we really don't know. I don't know, have enough information, but what I can do is say, well, we know in order for this to work well, these are the things. And this, we talk about universal design. And in workplaces, we want a culture that addresses this, and nobody has to mask. I mean, I don't know about you, John, but you probably had to put a fake smile on your face. I
Yes,
mean, like, I think that's great here. I'm doing what I do, but inside you're just angry. You're angry because
yeah.
your needs aren't being met. You need help.
all right. So
And
let's
this
ask
is not
John.
doing
I'm
it.
sorry. Let's ask John.
Yeah.
Did you ever address that and see if you could get a change in her?
No, I never did
Because,
because I was too angry and I didn't
oh,
want to.
really?
Yeah, I just couldn't do it because I was just too frustrated at that particular time, at that particular job.
Right.
That I just said, you know what? I've, like in my mind, I said, I just can't do this anymore in my head.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, things like that.
This
Okay.
is where what happens all the time, right? So people leave their job, whether it be bagging, whether it be in a professional environment where they're a C-level. They aren't getting their needs met. They're frustrated. They faked it, masked for so long, and they either feel that they're the issue or they're not being understood. And what do we do? We leave. And then
Yeah.
the company's left behind to fill a void, retrain, and they still have the same problem with the management.
Right. But because this is a show and an episode about masking, here's where I'm going to go.
Okay.
I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. And, I've learned throughout time that our assumptions are typically wrong because we haven't really given somebody the benefit of the doubt and talked to them. So I know that one of the effects or characteristics of autism is that we socially pull back. We are overstimulated. And this is a business that had a lot of motion and movement in it, right, John? So
Correct.
I'm wondering if this manager was
Mm,
overstimulated. So rather than put a negative judgment on her, she's lazy, she's whatever, she's not trained well, I think they all got trained the same. There are
hmm.
classes they go to for management for this company, but I'm wondering if she's undiagnosed.
Maybe we don't know.
No, we don't. But, so then my next step is what do we do as employees? What do we do as the person in that space, the manager? What do they do if they are overstimulated, if there's too much on their plate, they can't meet all of those expectations? And then how do the employees rise up to say, this is hurting our work output? This actually leads me to my next question with you, Michelle. And that's something you were saying. I think you hit upon this a few minutes ago, but you definitely talked more about this when we did a pre-interview. And that was we have the human resources departments in major companies. They are there to help. But the people who are masking, the people who are having a difficult time meeting expectations, are afraid to go to HR.
Mhm.
Talk about that a little bit. And how do you, as a coach, deal with that fear, either one-on-one or through the HR department of these companies?
Absolutely. Whether you are the employee like John, frustrated, or you are the actual manager and you are self-diagnosed or you realize there's something going on, um, the percentage of a chance that you are going to go to HR and tell them your issues, in my experience over 15 plus years, is so small. And even in companies where, and without naming any companies that I've had people find me through, they may advertise their great HR, their neurodivergent acceptance, but I will tell you, those employees don't believe it. The ERG groups, they are formed, they're not highly attended. A lot of them, maybe some are, and if there are, great. This is amazing. But like out of a company of 500, I saw somebody with like 12 in an ERG group. And we know
What's
statistically,
an ERG? What's the acronym mean?
employment resource groups. And those are the groups designed in the HRs, right, to help promote and advocate as a group so that
Okay.
they can get the help that they need. So the companies have the policies, they have the HR, but people are not using them. And my question to this group was, why? Why aren't you? It's there. The company is providing it for you. Well, it's there, and but the culture isn't really there. You will be skipped for a promotion. You will be looked upon as somebody who's difficult. Anything you do will be second guessed, and it's not there. And as a matter of fact, just recently, I had two high profile people within a company trying to advocate for other people to grow this. I was going to go in and do a training for the company, and they left. They quit, just up and left, because they didn't have the confidence that that company truly believed in what they put out there in their messaging with these HR groups. And so it's a scary place to be in there. And quite frankly, if your boss is the one you think is neurodivergent, where are you going to go with that? Who do you trust? It's you need to have self-agency, first of all, right? And to take care of yourself first. And that's what you need to do to protect your job. And so there's this culture of double standard. So it's a real problem, and it is there today. There are companies out there that form like Metra, where you can they're hiring for neurodivergency, and they have the training and whatnot. And there's not companies that are going there looking for neurodivergent help. There's still a stigma with that. And we have some amazing examples out there of people that are able to shine in their strengths. And we need to look at them and how did they get successful, and what do we do about the weaknesses? Because people that are masking, they're masking for a reason. They want to fit in, they want to keep their jobs, but they need support to shine. And then I had somebody recently tell me, and this was a very, very high profile person, and we're talking like patents in their names, but they really shy away from public interaction for having tight people because of trust. You have to have that trust. But if you trust and you support them, and I'm talking with their executive functioning skills, there are what they said kryptonite, big, powerful, amazing. And so that's the problem right there is.
Okay, I don't understand what you just said. I need you to re-explain that to me.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So we understand that HR, right? You have this program and you can go to HR and get the help you need. People aren't doing it because there's a lot of undercurrents and opinions. People are not going to get promoted, and maybe they will. I mean, there are some companies out there, but by and far, no. And there are companies out there advocating to hire. I'm advocating to hire neurodivergent talent because there's talent in there, but the support system needs to go along with it. And until we can have this understanding of the value that what they bring to the table, their kryptonite, their gift, comes with support, the needed support around them. And the HR can, if they will take the time to understand that and support them without judgment, create a culture where it is safe to say, hey, I'm over here struggling. I am amazing. And you hired me because I am the best at this, but I am horrible at follow through, at communication, at
right.
timeliness.
And this is where you come in with your individual coaching. If the manager doesn't feel comfortable going through HR,
they always come individually and pay, and it's expensive.
Yes. Or if you are working with a company that truly wants to help, you'll work through HR and provide programs, or does that rarely happen, Michelle?
That rarely happens, but yes, where you're going is right. And this is, where I get on my soapbox. So I have a training program that's train the trainer, and it's not how to handle your neurodivergent, employees. It's about recognizing somebody who is struggling with executive functioning skills. Your manager, maybe it was time management. Maybe she was so consumed with whatever the company wanted, she forgot about the culture aspect of her job. And so she was hyper focused on, the computer in the office and it was too much of an effort for her to go socialize and be the cheerleader of that. And so with that piece is that you could have trained managers, there would need to be managers that set a precedence to be able to identify when somebody is struggling with these executive functioning skills, and then providing strategies and tools to help anybody. Because quite frankly, we all can be struggling with executive functioning skills. I can't tell you how many people go, well, I'm not diagnosed, but I certainly could get help, organizing, or I'm going to hire, a professional organizer to come in to help me with XYZ. And so we all have the need at different times of our life. So why do we have to have a diagnosis, go through HR to get this special label, to get this funding over here, when we could come into the corporation and say, let's have a training program where we're just helping everybody with executive functioning skills.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. That really is. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
You have, a concussion, you could be sick, have walking pneumonia, and your executive functions are affected. You're walking around in a cloud. You can't think straight.
So the deal is that you rise to the level of management or executive because you actually have something to contribute to the company,
There's a reason
you
why
know,
you're
to
hired.
whatever the company provides.
Mhm.
But within that, you do have your other challenges and struggles just because we're human and this is what it is. John, um, okay, so you led with, when you worked for that company many years ago, you led
Yes.
with, I'm neurodivergent, and so this is what I can do, this is what I can't do. And it was an open conversation, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So they kind of knew the package they were getting when you walked in the store. But you worked there long enough and you do have this incredible depth of intellect and
Mm-hmm.
caring.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the quality, the caring, the nurturing for other people that kind of offset the fact that, okay, reading, writing, arithmetic are your challenges.
Correct. Yes.
But you moved beyond that because you could say what you did with the customers. Spend a minute
Oh,
explaining how you grew in that job.
okay. What I used to do is we used to help customers out to their cars, and we put the groceries in the cars. And then my extra thing is if they were like elderly, I would like stand there and make sure they got in and made sure they put their seatbelt on, and then I went back inside. I did that like that to help them out, and they really appreciated it.
And let me tell you, Michelle, that I can go anywhere with John in Pittsburgh and he will know somebody.
Mm-hmm.
He will know somebody, and it's from working at that store and
Yep.
extending himself, right, John?
Correct.
To do things that he's not really paid for, which is really take care of people.
Yeah.
And that's how you grew within your job. And so if we can recognize that as employers with people who lead with, I'm neurodivergent, here's what I can do, here's what I can't do.
Mm.
Why can't employers rise to the rise to the need of their managers? I can do some things, I struggle with other things.
Right.
Why is there that stigma still?
I think because they don't know how to handle somebody that's like near diversion because they're used to like some people like with Down syndrome or something they don't understand stuff, but with somebody who's high functioning like a myself or somebody like that, they don't get it. They don't understand that we can do so much more than just one thing. We could do multiple things at one time, or we can do it correctly and stuff like that. That's basically what I think about that.
Okay.
And,
And then Michelle, push that up on the executive level now. Why can't that same courtesy be extended to executives without them having to worry?
mm,
Right. Well, I'm an employer as well, right? And so, from the economic standpoint, you want to hire somebody that isn't going to be a risk to your profit line in
Mm,
a company. And unfortunately, and I'm just taking a personal opinion out there. This is just my own. That it probably comes down to financials and the burden that might be placed on the employer in some way where they're tied into something they don't want to be tied into long term. And so there's a fear when you're hiring of what you're hiring, who you're hiring, and how does that affect my ability to unhire them at a future date.
oh,
My guess. I
ah,
I am not, I'm just saying that there's got to be deeper reasons where people would understand, but they're just not sure what they're getting themselves into. And
I,
this is where I would like to get away from the idea of saying, well, we're going to hire, neurodivergent people because we've got that label, we've got that stigma. I would like to do away with that and say, we're going to hire somebody like John who has a gift at being, reading the needs of other people, is a people person. And we need somebody that's really good at that. Now, John, I'm sure you had something you weren't good at the job. I don't know. You had to read directions, or whatever it was. It's
Yeah.
defining roles that speak to their strengths. And I've got this big smile on my face because I'm in this space in a really big way. And I've got the opportunity to meet people that are doing amazing startups. And I will tell you, there's a company right now, and I can't say because they're still in stealth mode, but they have designed gaming programs to identify the strengths of neurodivergent people, because many neurodivergent people are visuals and they need visual instructions. And so they have gaming to highlight somebody's strengths based on a game. So come down the walls of an interview, of sitting there. People don't like to talk to people. You won't see the strengths of somebody that has a hard time communicating in a setting where you're in a room with bright lights, lots of things going on, and their best strengths are coming out. But if you're playing a game, and then through this game shows you the strengths, you can go to an employer and say, look at this amazing guy. He is amazing customer service person. You need him. And you're like, wow, look, he's off the charts up here. But then comes along the end piece, which is, of course, my background is, but he needs support in executive functionings for organization or time management or short-term memory. And here's his strategy box, his toolbox. If you hire him for this role, but at an occasion he needs to do something over here, he can do it with these supports in place. If we are disrupting the way we are hiring people, we hire people and expect them not only to do the one thing that you hired them for, but everything else. And then you put stress on that person to be something they're not, which then turns to masking, because they like the job, they need the job. They like when they get to do what they're really good at, they love it, but they're stressed with all the other expectations. And so I really think it's looking at companies, especially a startup, that can consider this from the get-go. And let's talk about universal design. This can help anybody. If we talk about our expectations of how we hire people and what their roles are, are we doing them justice by coming up with responsibilities in a job description? And just look at them. What are you asking them to do? Do you want a unicorn in every single job? I mean, sometimes I do, right? I mean, I would love to have one. But let's prioritize what we're hiring for and how is that different than the expectations that go along with that big long list of you must be able to do this and this and this and all the way down. And people hang on to the top 3 or 4 things they can do and say, I'll figure out the rest.
Understood. Understood. John, did you feel like you wanted to do more things at the store, but you weren't
Yeah.
allowed?
Yeah. That's how I felt, yes. Because I was stuck being, you know, the same thing every day. Like I like to do different things. I like to do I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
be outside, well, not outside, but I mean different tasks every day.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like boom, 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 boom. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you get bored and you're going to quit. So you're going to have employee turnover. So John,
yeah,
I'm curious, and this is truly authentic here. I mean, we have no script here, right? We're just
yeah.
talking.
Go ahead.
If I were to say, hey John, I've got this gaming assessment that you can do in your own privacy, and it's going to tell us what your strengths are. And then we're going to match that with jobs that fit your top 5 strengths, and then talk about what you need in support for those areas that aren't. And I was that career person helping you. How would that feel for you in looking for a new job?
That would actually be really good because I think that's how I like visuals of different things, and then things like that co like will help me more with different tasks and stuff like that. I think that's a good idea,
And
honestly.
what's been your experience when you've gone into an interview and you had to put your shirt on and go in and sell
Um,
yourself verbally?
very well, very sometimes it was very nerve-wracking because some of the employers they think they asked me the same questions they ask everybody, but it's kind of made me nervous a little bit and like uneven of how I would answer
Right.
the questions and
And I'm
stuff.
not sure that I would know that you would take the care for my customer to get home safely in a car in an interview.
Yeah.
That would never come out.
Uh-uh. Uh-uh. Yeah. Uh-uh.
Anyway, I
Well,
there's some exciting things happening, and I hope that this little startup company is highly successful, and I'm
mhm.
piggyback with them with the support that needs to happen. But
Well, I just started coming up with something recently, and that is a video of people in action. These job interviews are horrendous. And unless you get off on them, I used to love job interviews, but I'm unusual. I just am. And I ended up interviewing the interviewer half the time because I really like finding
I
out
bet.
about people. Um, but they're not natural. Everybody's under the gun, and you don't really know who a person is until you actually see them work.
Right.
So I took two videos of John. I know John loves music because obviously I know him.
Yes.
And I do know he likes servicing people.
Mm-hmm.
We were in a record store, his favorite place to be, other than a restaurant. We were in a
Yes.
music store, and he
Yes.
started helping somebody. Do you remember this? Is
Oh,
it
I
called The
remember
Attic?
this. Yeah.
He started helping a teenager look for music in a genre that was very narrow. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
don't know about this genre, European music, and John knew all about it. And so I took a video on my cell phone about John interacting with this person. I'm like, an employer would never know this.
Yeah.
This is what he's like in action. And
Mm-hmm.
then he had a brief job at the VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars,
Yes.
before he moved to his apartment, which is too far
Mm-hmm.
away now. We were there, my sister and I. He wasn't working that night, so he was socializing with people there.
Mm-hmm.
One of the bartender needed to go on a break, and John, you can't make cocktails, but you can
No.
serve beer, you can pour
Yeah.
soda and water and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I was so blown away by your performance. I started taking another video on the cell phone. And I'm like, nobody would know this unless you showed them this is who this person is like.
Mhm.
So when we look at your universal design concept, Michelle, that's kind of what's coming to mind. I think the whole job interview process needs to be changed. I would like videos to be presented of what people are like in action.
Yeah.
Now you know who the heck you're hiring.
Right. And let's go back to the employer. I'm looking at a resume. I've got this constructed, Zoom. We do all, we have virtual coaches. So we're doing Zoom, and I get this snippet of information about them. If they're showing a weakness, what am I going to remember after the interview? I'm going to go, oh, is it worth it? Do I know this person well enough? Well, if I had an assessment, like the video assessment and a video of them, as much documentation as I could, bringing them into my company would feel a little bit safer, as from an employer's aspect. And that's where I come at it from is I'm a businesswoman, but I'm also a people person. I'm in the helping industry, and I want everybody to be a good match and to give the tools to be successful, and there's many companies that maybe somebody masks for a really, really long time. And then later on, they're like, well, I just have to let you know this one little secret that I have been, citing. And it doesn't change the opinion of that person because they've earned it. They put in the
Mm,
hours it took to mask themselves. But those are probably few and far between. And that's why I'm going to say people, neurodivergent people, I believe the statistic is 80% underemployed.
yeah, yeah,
That's a
I've
large,
heard
and
that too.
20% of the population identifies as neurodivergent, about, they say 15 to 20%. So if you look at our population, you take 20% of those people, and then they're 80% are underemployed. What is that doing to our government, and financials? And, we're talking about trying to be efficient. Well, the money that needs to go in is to be able to find a solution to supporting this workforce that we know have brilliance behind them. They have a gift. That is where I offer my services from the very get going is you have a gift. What is it? We are going to discover it. We're going to develop it. I don't care about your weaknesses because let's just face it, John, your whole life probably, and I'm going to assume, please shut me down, but that you know what you're not good at because you've
Oh yeah.
had corrected behavior your whole life, support system, and this and that.
Hmm.
And that, what does that do to you over time? It tells you how
It,
bad you are, what you're
yeah.
not.
Mm-mm.
I come in and say, we got to undo this. And it takes some time. You can't just do it in one session. It takes time. But when you find this gift and you get some traction with that gift, somebody starts to stand up a little bit taller. They put their shoulders back. They will take a risk. They might start to advocate for themselves a little bit. They might just start to set micro boundaries by communicating, hey, I actually do better if I have it this way, a visual. Anyway, so I'm going to start to go down a rabbit hole, but yes, absolutely. I would love to see this turned upside down and take a new
Yeah.
approach. I think our economy, where we're at as a nation, would benefit from an approach like this, and see these 80% of people that are underemployed employed full time and happily they want to be employed full time. I mean, John, am I speaking for you? Do you want to be employed?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. John's underemployed.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Are you? See, I don't even know this, but these are the statistics that are out
Yeah.
there.
No, you're
And I'm
absolutely right.
here just, passionate on my soapbox because I live and breathe and eat this on a daily basis. I've written books about how to overcome your challenges and have, the job you really truly want, happiness, passion, and purpose. Um, and I'm advocating, I'm working with government, trying to get procurements for my programming because I see the gift, I see the strength, and we're missing out on a huge talent pool because of the way we hire and train.
Absolutely. So, John, if you worked at the Attic, which you have, the Attic is the record store that I took the
Yeah.
video in. You've asked what a few times if they would hire you.
Yeah.
If I really, the next time I come back, want to show them the video, because
Okay.
here's the deal. People like to enjoy the store that they're in. As a customer, people
Hmm.
want to feel good about where they're buying things. And you have that ability to do that. And it doesn't matter that you can't ring the register.
Right. No,
It
just
matters that you can communicate with people so they buy the right records.
yeah.
If you would.
Absolutely.
And I would trust you. I look at you, I hear you. And this is one thing about, and I know it's not true with every single neurodivergent person, but a lot of them that I work with, they have the inability to really lie, fabricate when asked directly. It kind of goes against the grain oftentimes. And I know there's many people out there go, oh, I could tell you a story, but that you have a likable, approachable, trustworthy persona. And I'm going to just say that right now, when just is what we've met here in the last 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, that goes a long way for a company to have that.
I think so
So
too. What do you have to say about that, John?
I think she's spot on about that. Yeah.
I've
Because
got my magic crystal ball out and I'm
yeah, she did the little thing out. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to conclude now, but I think about that scene in Devil Wears Prada where Andy, played by who's the gorgeous girl, the brown, dark hair.
Anne Hathaway.
Anne
No,
Hathaway.
oh,
Thank you, John.
good. See,
Played
I'm
by
thinking,
Anne. Thank you. Played by
you're
Anne
welcome.
Hathaway, where Meryl Streep, um, the
The
publisher
ball.
of the magazine, Runway
Yes.
magazine, is interviewing her, and she's standing there, and it's very uncomfortable. And she's blunt, here, dismissed, dismissed. And she walks back and says, look, I'm not skinny. I don't dress like these girls, but I'm smart. I'm loyal. I'm this, I'm that. And if you hire me, you'll never regret. I mean, that's what people need to frickin' say.
right?
That's the job interview. Listen
I
here.
mean,
You
yeah,
have these questions you want to ask me. I just want to tell you about me.
yeah.
I would like to see this job interview thing turned on its head. And I would like to see the judgment that we make of people turned on its head and the fear that people have to say,
To do
first of
that,
all,
which
people
you
have to
did.
get to,
Yeah.
people have to understand what's going on inside of them. You know, that's the first thing. John, you know what's going on inside of you. You've had a lifetime to deal with it.
Oh
And
yes.
but other people look like everybody else and you have the same expectations of them that okay, if we give you this job and pay you a lot of money, you're going to be fabulous, but you have these secrets.
Hmm.
I struggle with time management. I struggle with emotional regulation. I struggle with organization skills.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you can help me deal with that, I will produce for you. I will be loyal to you. You will be happy that you hired me. Those are
Hmm.
the conversations we need to have.
100%. The companies need to adapt and adopt these inclusive practices that benefit everybody, everybody.
Yeah.
It really is turning itself. And I really think a lot of these new companies that are restructuring, it's prime time to do it.
Because
Yeah.
everything's turned on its head right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this is really good. Thank you both for
Well,
Thank
joining
you.
me. I
So great to
really,
meet you.
yeah, no, well, we went well
Um,
above what I wanted to. It doesn't matter. We did well because we tapped on an issue that's pervasive. And unless we address it, it's not going to change. And Michelle, thank you for what you're doing in the workplace and keep on keeping on with that.
I'm not
Anybody,
stopping.
listen, please, anybody, her contact information is going to be in the show notes, but just because people like writing things down while they listen, easiest way to get in touch with you, Michelle.
Oh, thank you. Well, my parent website, razcoaching.com, razcoaching.com. And then I talk about from there the corporate education and some of these other ones you see over here. But thank you so much.
Yeah.
And love to talk to like-minded people too. I mean, honestly, it's a movement. It really is a movement.
And John, you're part of the movement.
yep.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
You're part of the movement just by coming on and having discussions with people that you don't know. But you're there, and I appreciate that too.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
sweetie.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Yes. And thank you for being so caring to our humanity, and looking out for people's safety
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
and experience, right? Experience, I think.
Absolutely, yes. Yes.
Well, and also thank all of you for listening. I really appreciate that. If you have any ideas for shows, please get in touch with me, Judy at creatingcommunities.us. And our tagline to end every show is in the world of special needs people, we all need each other. Talk to you next week.